What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kumpel of Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Speaking of label free and being very positive, I have a really great guest. Her name is Kristin Herr, and she is a mindset life coach. So Kristin, why don't you introduce yourself, tell the audience a little bit about your background and why you got into being a life and mindset coach.
Okay, so my name is Kristin Herr. Like she said, I am in Truckee, California. We are surrounded by a ton of smoke right now. So that is in Tahoe. I am a mom, I like to call it an older mom, to a 3-year-old little boy. So that is interesting and keeps me busy. And my professional background is I was in the hair industry for 20 years.
Wow.
And I worked with Aveda and a lot of high-end salons, management, the whole deal. And pretty much I've been coaching people for 20 years behind the chair. I just wasn't getting paid for it.
Yeah.
And then a little bit about my background, how I got into coaching. 12 years ago, I left a 2-year abusive relationship. And it was a really pivotal point in my life. And I didn't recognize the girl I saw in the mirror anymore. And I got involved into network marketing and started really diving into a lot of personal development. Although I had gone to therapy before in the past, I really was starting to just see how the mind works and how, a lot of times we create our own hell on earth by our thoughts.
Yeah.
and I just started diving deep into it. And then fast forward, I was still in the hair industry, I met my husband, all this. I realized I started showing up a little more social media, sharing my story. I helped co-author a book, sharing my story about the things I had overcome. And I realized not only did I have a gift, I'm able to really connect with people where they trust me really easily. And I knew that with my clients because they would come into the salon and they'd be all stressed out. And literally within 5 minutes, I would have them calm. And I just had some little rituals that I'd do with them and just calm them.
Goosebumps right now. I'm just like,
love that. And I would just gently, I just had like a little thing that I would do with my clients, and it helped them. And just sharing my story with people and just knowing that I am not alone. And so many people are afraid to speak up about it. And I have studied under neuropsychologists and really dove deep into the whole mindset and the rewiring of the brain. I actually geek out on it a little bit. And I've seen how it has transformed my life. It's not something that it's ever over. It's always constantly evolving. It's always constantly, there's always going to be new things that come up. And that's how I got into it. And that's what I love to do, is just help, especially women. I know men have it too, but women especially, because we have such high expectations of ourselves that no one can actually live up to what we think we're supposed to live.
Very true. That's very true. So I know my hairdresser, she was like, when I go and see my hairdresser, if I'm having a bad day, you are playing a little bit of that counselor role. So I can respect and understand that from a client standpoint.
Right.
So how long have you, so actually rewind, you were in an abusive relationship, and that's great that you got out of that. I mean, I've been in a couple myself, and it's always hard. It's like you feel like you're kind of like outside of your body when you're in it, and you're like, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? And it's just like so many people fall into that whole, it's almost like a pattern, it becomes like a cyclical pattern. And that's just so great that, you are speaking from a place where you got out of that, you survived it, and you are thriving. So I think, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really great. And it's good that you share that story. And I don't share mine as much, and I probably should, but I think that's awesome. So now, how long have you been a mindset coach for now?
Well, I got my certification a year and a half ago. And before then I was studying with a neuropsychologist and Dr. Shannon Irvine, her Epic Success Academy, and doing some own personally studying as well. And then I took the courses to get my certification and the classes to move forward with it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So now you've grown your business over the last year and a half to be a mindset coach. So
that's exactly right.
What's that?
I said, that's exactly right.
I love it. I love it. So like I had told you before we started recording, I did go through like the the life coaching
That's
certification,
right.
and I never did anything with it. So I really just think it's awesome when I hear people are being successful at it, because it is such a different type of process. And I think that it's very helpful for people that are trying to make a change in their life and they're just stuck. And it really, that's kind of what you help them do, right? Is you help change their bad behaviors, bad patterns, and help them figure that out on their own.
That's exactly right. But one of the things that what I love about the whole, I'm going to geek out a little bit here about the
That's
whole
okay.
neuroscience,
Go for it.
of it, and the like retraining you're programming your brain to work for you, because we're all on autopilot. Our subconscious is ruling us, and it always has to do with the way we were raised and these whole mostly the way you're raised and your way of thinking of doing things. That's why it's so hard for people to make lasting change,
Yes.
because that's why at the beginning of the year, people are like, I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. And after week 3, everybody has quit, because they're battling their subconscious and this autopilot and this identity, because you don't see yourself as this healthy person, so to speak. You see yourself as this unhealthy couch potato or
Yeah.
whatnot. So it really is finding those limiting beliefs, because that's where it all stems from, and rewiring the brain so it starts to work for you.
Yeah, I love that. So how long is when you do take on a client, like what is that process like with them? I mean, I'm sure you do some kind of intake and discuss what their goals are. So I'd love to hear a little bit how you do that.
Yeah, so what I do is I do a complimentary discovery call and chat with them. It's only a 15-minute call. I usually go longer with them because I end up coaching them, which I'm in it to help people. At the end of the day,
Love
I want to
that.
help. I'm in it to help people. So I normally end up giving them a free coaching session, but that's okay. I'm happy to do it. But I have an 8-week program. It's called Making Mindset Moves. That's my signature program. Really dive into the stories that we tell ourselves that aren't true. All of us do it. You know, procrastination shows up. We have these big goals for ourselves, but our actions do not reflect our goals for our life. And there's something that is there that holds people back, and they know it's there, but they can't quite put their finger on it. And it's why they stay stuck. And it has to do with all the programming. So I really dive in deep into that. And I have exercises. I say homework, but no one wants to do homework, but I really have exercises for people to do throughout our coaching together. And, you know, I do weekly 1-hour coaching sessions with them, and then they have access to me on Voxer as well. So if something comes up, they're freaking out, especially right now with the pandemic. A lot of people are full on freak out, scarcity, lack, scared mode. And it's really hard sometimes when you're in the thick of it and your circumstances to shift that. But the shift is where you're going to see the change and where things are going to start to shift in your life. When you really start to rewire the brain and really start to recognize these things, because most people, like I said, so many people on autopilot, they don't even realize that they're doing it to themselves. They just know that they're wanting to make this change, and they keep trying and trying and trying, but it's just not happening. And they self-sabotage over and over and over. And it's because they're programming.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the biggest struggles for someone that, when you start coaching them, what's one of the biggest struggles that they come up against, which might be common with everybody, to actually start getting over or rewiring their behavior, their brain, so that they are making those changes?
Well, most people, they self-sabotage themselves. They don't do the work.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I mean, really, that they come again, they know, logically, they know that if they do the work, it's gonna make the change. And I know this too, because this is things that I've gone through myself also. Sure. And I've battled with it myself. It literally could be a 5-minute thing that, you know, that will move you forward, the needle forward in your life and help you make that change. But you talk yourself out of it. You talk yourself that you're tired. You don't want to sit down and do the work. You don't want to start writing down all the things that you say to yourself. And because sometimes it can be a little scary. You'd be like, oh my gosh, really? This is my self-talk? Because it does come down to your self-talk. And most people have no idea how bad that they actually talk to themselves.
I can speak from experience. I mean, I've made a lot of, I was married, my husband passed away, and
Gosh, I'm so
there,
sorry.
it was about 5 years ago. I'm in a really good place now, but like I had to really do a lot of internal just healing, and had to come to some peace, and just that, through the whole grief process. And the growth does happen in the hardest and during the hardest times.
Absolutely.
And I'm probably the
Absolutely.
most happiest I've ever been in my life, the most peaceful, like no drama. But I had to make that decision.
Right.
I could have stayed on that roller coaster of living in grief and like woe is me and all this, or I could say, you know what, like, I'm lucky to be alive. We have one life to live, and I'm going to
Right.
live it to the fullest. And I just want to move forward in a very healthy way. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's all about making a good choice and just sticking to that choice. And I feel like that it sounds so simple, and it really is. And
It
people
is.
do overthink it. They overthink it, and they get in their own way. So yes, I
Most
love.
people get in their own way, and that's why every year they replay the same year over and over. Every year New Year's comes up, they have a New Year's resolution. It's the same one,
Yeah.
and every year it's the same. They're living the same year over and over and over, and they're calling that a life. Well, I believe that most people are not even remotely living up to their potential.
Oh, absolutely not. I would agree. Absolutely. What's one of your favorite, so one of your most successful clients that you've worked with? What's one thing that you've helped them work through? Without naming names, obviously.
No,
But
sure, sure. Well, I had a client who was really struggling with the pandemic. She lost her business and was in that whole mindset of, fear and scarcity, and just kind of helping her work through that and be like, okay, what's the worst, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? And even when I was talking to her, I'm like, you're in this place of fear, you're in this place of scarcity, this is not helping you. We're going to have to shift some of this, because even at the end of the day, the worst thing that's going to happen, you're going to be okay.
yeah, agreed.
And I think that, and I'm not downplaying what is happening in our world right now, but what I am saying is so many people are playing on that fear, and they're putting all of this negativity in their brains, watching the news, and they're just feeding on it.
Oh,
It is not helping at all. I stay away from that stuff. I do not watch the news. I know what's going on. I know what I need to know, but I
sure.
don't need to fill my brain with that stuff.
No, I totally agree. I've actually, like, I don't watch any of it either. I went to go get my nails done. This was when things started opening back up, and they had the news playing, and I was just like, and I have people that are close to me, family, friends, that the pandemic has really affected them. I personally, like,
Absolutely.
I did all my research. I read what I needed to read. I, I'm not freaked out at all. I mean, I don't believe in wearing the mask because I'm a healthy individual. I have an immune system. So
Right.
like I'm not, and I'm not around anybody that's at compromised, like,
Right.
has a compromised immune system. So I'm aware of what I'm doing. But I was sitting there watching the news, and as I'm getting my nails done, and I'm just like, it was like brainwashing. And I don't
It
have,
is. It
I have I have the Fire Stick from Amazon, so
I'm sure.
I don't even put the news on. So, but they have just mainstream media, and I was like, oh, no wonder why people are so freaked out. I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'm getting mad because I'm like, this is terrible. No wonder why people are like having like, I mean, there's so much depression. We've,
No, the depression and suicidal rates and everything is
yeah,
really is super high right now. People are really struggling, and I get it. I mean, I've had my moments too, but going down that rabbit hole does not help people. And I think my biggest thing that I could say for people is, what are you putting in your brain daily? Are you listening to the news every day? Are you listening to your neighbor or your family and your friends, and all they talk about is how bad things are? Or are you putting things in your mind about, there are a lot of people right now who are crushing it in business. There are a lot of people who this has been amazing for them, like families have reconnected. There's a lot of positivity that can come from this. So it's kind of like, what's the old the 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 parable with the angry wolf, or
oh yeah,
the one you feed. What are you
yeah,
feeding in your brain? And I believe that what you put in is what you're going to put out, and it's going to affect you. And it's so important I mean, I work on my personal development every single day. I
You
read
have
stuff
to
every
though.
day. And I have to, because if I don't, I can easily shift into that negative
Sure.
doom and gloom way of thinking.
And I like to say to people, you know, especially like close friends and family, like, listen, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. So what's going to happen if you've allowed this to overtake your life so much to the point where it's debilitated you and you aren't able to function? So like you have to take care of you. You have to. So I mean, I was doing a lot of prayer sessions, like Bible study prayer sessions with my family, and my one aunt was having a very hard time. Like, I mean, she was crying, and it was just, you know, and for me it was heartbreaking to see them respond like that, because I'm such a strong individual. I mean,
Right.
and I'm constantly putting positive things, you know, reading the Bible, reading like affirmations. You know, I've got post-its all over my mirror in my bathroom of positive things, like things I want to do, things I believe, you know, just affirming and trying to create that goodness in my life. You know what I mean?
I
So
do know what you mean, because I think that's really important. And I will say this with the pandemic, and this is what I've noticed too, with especially families, like, you know, husband, wife, they have kids. We've kind of shifted to this, back to this 1950s role. It's been in my household too. And I think it's been really hard on, especially the woman, not to say the men haven't too, but it's like all of a sudden the mom's supposed to take care of the kids 24/7, cook 3 meals a day, keep a tidy house, and she might have a business and be trying to work on the side too. And they're depleting themselves and they don't have a moment to themselves. And it's been in my household too. I mean, that's exactly what shifted in my home too. And I have had to make time for myself, and that might require me getting up at 5:30 in the morning, so I have an hour of quiet time to meditate, to read my Bible, to do my journaling. That helps me, and that makes me a better parent, a better wife, a better business owner, all of it.
yeah, I love that. That's really great. That's a great piece of advice for anybody that is a mother that's struggling out there, we're doing all these different roles, especially if you're having to teach at home. You know, like that's another thing. And I've have some friends and family that are teaching at home and trying to manage all that too. That's a lot. That's a
It's a
lot.
lot. It's
So
a
I,
lot.
I have a cousin. I saw her. She posted something. She's like, I've been pretty positive throughout this whole thing, and she's like, it's starting to get to me. I can't sleep. I'm like, I think it's martini time. So we're going out for martinis this coming weekend. So
You know, sometimes you have to do that. Like, and Sunday nights are my designated night, because I love music.
ooh,
And I need to have some fun in my life. I had like 10 concerts scheduled for this summer. None of them happened.
oh,
My band gets streamed every Sunday for, you know, old shows. And I watch it and I have a couple of glasses of wine and I have a little dance party with my 3-year-old. And it might just be the two of us, but I
oh.
relax and I wind down and it's my fun.
And that's great energy for him though too.
Right.
What's the music? What's your favorite music? What do you like?
Well, I like, you guys might laugh at me. I like a lot of the jam bands. Widespread Panic's the one I watch on Sundays.
Okay.
I like Fish. I like a lot of the Grateful Dead.
Oh, cool.
That's the music that's my go-to. I love all music, but that's
Yeah.
my go-to when I want to lift my mood and
Awesome.
have a little dance party.
So next time we'll have to, like, when I do a follow-up with you, we'll have to do like a little dance party on here together
I would love
to
that.
share with everybody. That's great. But so what are your links or email or website that people can reach you to? And I'm going to put all the links in the description of the episode as well. So where can someone reach you if they want to talk to you about being their mindset and life coach?
You can find me at kristinherr.com. So that's KristinHerr.com. And then I'm also on the social media platforms, mostly Facebook. I do have a group I just started. It's for women. The name of it's called Women Who Want More. And I'm really diving in there and you know, talking a lot about the mindset piece, but also talking about like some rituals and things that you can do at home to help you be more grounded and have that self-care, because that has gone out the window for a lot of women right now, more so than usual.
Yeah. I would agree. Well, that's awesome. So, is there anything else that we're going to start wrapping things up. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before? And thank you so much for being a guest. I mean, it's been great. I love your attitude. I love your positivity, and just like you left some very good tips for people that, well, especially women that are going through a hard time right now. So I think
Right.
awesome.
Thank you.
Is there
Thank you,
anything
Deanna.
else? Is there
I
anything else?
appreciate it.
Oh,
You know, my biggest thing, like I said, is really for anyone who's struggling right now, you're depressed, you pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. Start recording, writing down, give yourself 3 to 4 days and start writing down the thoughts that you're having and start bringing some awareness to that. And that's going to be a really good indicator of where you are. It doesn't
like that.
make you that thought,
Mm-hmm.
and you can start to shift that. And you know, put positivity, whatever that is, whatever you enjoy, podcasts, like listen to the podcast, listen to people who are doing well, and read things that are positive, and turn the news off. That's my biggest advice. Turn the news off.
I totally agree. Awesome advice. Awesome advice. All right, you guys, this is your host, Deanna Kemp with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I look forward to seeing you soon.